All right. Hello, Vicky. How are you doing today?
Hello, I am good. I'm good. I'm good.
All right, awesome. So, thank you so much for joining us today. And you were one of the members in the inner circle. And I'm so excited to chat with you and just talk about the process, all the wonderful things that happened for you, and all that wonderful stuff. So, the first question that I wanted to ask you is what drew you to the program, to working with me in the inner circle?
Um, Being a part of your group, for, okay, correct me if the name is Purposeful Pursuit to a Beautiful You. Am I saying that right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Woo-hoo, thank God. I know you changed it recently, but I know I've been a member for at least a year now, maybe a little over a year. And, I was always intrigued with you always adding, the value that you were adding to your group was always the work that you did with women. And I think what really caught my attention a lot was the EFT, the emotional freedom technique. And although I've vaguely heard about it in the past through other Facebook groups, the internet, and so forth, I really never did any research, in-depth research to learn more about it. But you explained it in a way that really caught my attention. And I thought that there were, although I know that I've improved quite a bit throughout the years, but I knew when it came to really being intentional with my entrepreneurial journey at this point in my life, I needed some help with just letting go of some of my limiting beliefs. I knew I was getting in my own way, and a lot of it um, steered from just worrying about what other people thought, the fear of, just the fear of so many things, fear of the unknown, fear of rejection, and all kinds of things. So that part of it, the EFT, really drew me into learning about tapping to see if it really helped. Because as a Christian, it's so sad to say, and I have to truly admit that as a Christian, I think people just assume, people who are possibly non-believers, and even some believers may think that as a Christian you shouldn't suffer. You're not allowed to suffer really as a Christian. As long as you pray, you have a very close relationship with the Lord, you should be okay. You should be good to go. But in reality, we need help. We need some additional guidance. And I do have a mentor in terms of someone in my church, but I was ashamed of even having certain conversations with her because I didn't want to be judged in that same sense either, in terms of like, are you praying more? Are you trusting God more? Are you blah, blah, blah? So I said, you know what, let me take it a step further and give this a try. Work. And I another thing was, I truly want to, going forward, I want to do as the best that I can to work with individuals who are also Christians as well. And I'm not saying it's only going to be Christians, but I felt the need that God was calling me to really involve myself with like-minded individuals, especially women who are also believers, and headed women who are also we're all going down a similar path, the path of entrepreneurship, the path of serving others, and serving others for the purpose of God's kingdom. So that's what really drew me to you. It's just, you did a very great job of, I would say, persuading, but not in a negative way, in a um, I would say, in a very godly way that really caught my attention. And obviously, you've caught the attention of many ladies that you work with. So I was delighted to work with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for answering that question. And the next question I want to ask you is, what were things like before we started our work together? And you kind of touched on it a little bit, but if you want to dig a little bit deeper on what things were like before you started working with me and all the other women in the inner circle.
I will say that although my confidence in my personal life and even in my career, in terms of my corporate career, has increased quite a bit throughout the years. But when it came to really pursuing my goals, I was still stuck in a way. There was something holding me back. And I knew that two things were, I was resisting, and I didn't fully know why I was resisting. And resistance led to me procrastinating. Um, so those, I wanted to tackle those things once and for all. I wanted to find a way to tackle, because reading the word and prayer, those two things didn't really, it just didn't only work. And I'm not saying that, oh, prayer doesn't work, because prayer does work, but I felt that I needed something on top of the prayer, something else. And again, a lot of it had to do with just my mindset, me getting in my own way too. So I wanted to at least learn some sort of strategy that will help me just kind of overcome that obstacle that was holding me back.
Yeah, and I love that you're touching on the idea of prayer and the word of God and all of that, because prayer definitely works. And a lot of times we don't connect our prayers to the fact that God is sending us the resources and he's sending us the help that we need in like the real world, because it's not all just spiritual, right? So you have the spiritual aspect. God can help in our hearts and our minds. He can do all of that. But then there's also the like real life tangible help that we can get. And God sends us that also. So it's not that, like you said, it's not that prayer doesn't work. It's not that reading our word doesn't work. It's that when we're doing those things, God brings other resources before us to help us get to where we're trying to get to.
Exactly.
So I definitely agree with you on that. And again, prayer and reading the word alone does not work, because we also have to do the work. We also have to take action. And that's what the inner circle, when you were there, it provided that route for you to combine that together. So I think that that's amazing, because we definitely prayed on our sessions. We definitely have those aspects of the word that is involved in the inner circle, but we also have the tangible real life things that we need to be able to apply to business as well. So I love that what we do is a mix of spirituality and strategy, because they're both needed.
Right. That's true.
So yes. The next thing is, what changed for you after joining the inner circle and working with me?
I will say I became more motivated. I would say after learning more about the tapping, I started really applying it into my prayer life. So when I would pray, I created I would tap as I was praying. So even if I didn't there were times that I did create my own statements, but there were times that I would just start tapping while I praying and tapping at the same time. And I was just tapping and just tapping away and tapping away. But as I was tapping, I'm praying. So as I'm praying, I started incorporating the tapping along with just my prayer. And there are many times, when I pray, I don't just get down on my knees and pray. I am walking around and I'm praying all over my entire house. I'm praying in different rooms. I'm pacing back and forth and praying out loud. But I would tap at the same time, and it really did help. So for me, I felt that including tapping along with my prayer helped. There may be some people that may not like it, but I can speak from experience. It has helped. So I kind of use both. Sometimes I'll just pray without it, and there's many times I pray with it too, and it really just helps me. I'm motivated more. I started also developing more of writing down I don't want to say to-do list, but I'm starting to be more intentional with taking action and trying to utilize my free time to utilize it towards being productive and taking action. I mean, heck, who knew that I would accomplish some of the things there's one more thing I'm still trying to complete, but I can guarantee you we'll get done by end of December. You know that already, but a lot of the things that I've been working on, I will say I've accomplished part of it a bit.
Yeah. Yes. Did you want to share possibly a few details on the things that you have got accomplished while in the inner circle? Mm-hmm. Yes, girl. Tell us about the business. Don't be shy.
I know, right? So, wow, I was trying. It's funny because I also learned God spoke to me through this process also, work on one thing at a time, get that done, and then work on the next thing. I think trying to multitask too many things at once, including working a full-time job, on top of what else I'm doing personally with my church and just family and things like that, it was just, I was driving myself crazy. I was overwhelming myself. So the first thing I had to do was I started at the beginning of the year working on my own inspirational. I wanted my own line of inspirational products. So I started with coffee mugs this year. So I got those done over the summer. Then I had to create an Amazon store. A lot of these things, just like learning, it sounds easy, but there's a lot of step-by-step process in getting those things done. Like with Amazon, you had to get several approvals, the verification of this, and finding the drop shipping company for the coffee mugs. And let me tell you, got it done. Had to create my own designs. And I can say that officially my store is up on Amazon, and so are the mugs. I now have 20 mugs. I have 10 more designs that I will be publishing, so I can have a total of 30 before year end. So that's one thing that I was working on. And then in addition to that, I'm almost done with revamping my Facebook business page because I decided I will move into my coaching services is going to involve using my Facebook business page first, and then move on to a website. I'll be trying to have someone that can work on a WordPress site for me, because I used to do blogging years ago, and I knew I wanted to kind of get back into blogging, but I think now what people are doing the most are video logs, the vlogs. So I'll be using my Facebook business page with that, and even as I get comfortable, I'll move on to Facebook Live once I start building up my followers. And so that's actually almost done. It'll be done within the next 2 weeks or so. So I can continue to start with just, sharing my message and going from there, because that's going to be a part of not just my coaching services, but it'll also allow me to also include and incorporate my inspirational line that I've been working on, including my mugs, some t-shirts that I'm working on as well, and a few other things. So it's all going to coincide with one another.
I love it. I love that you use two really, really big words that are so important. You said focus and intention. Mm-hmm. And that is definitely something that the EFT work definitely helps with. And another thing also is like just combining the EFT with the prayer, EFT with, asking God for the guidance and the direction. He's giving you the focus and the intention. I can see from when we first started to how you're talking now, your next steps. Mm-hmm. You're confident about what you're going to be doing next, and you're excited to do it, and you don't feel all over the place. So I think that we can all have amazing ideas, amazing gifts, talents, beautiful services to put out in the world. But if we don't have the focus and the intention, or we're not intentional, sometimes nothing happens. Or we take a little bit of action and we never put the full impact. We don't get the full impact out of what we're doing. So I think that that's the beautiful part, of the inner circle, is that we come together and we get focused and we get clear and we set those goals and those next steps, and you get to see what you're working through and what it's going to turn into next, and it begins to materialize.
Right.
So I think that that's so beautiful. I have one last question for you. Mm-hmm. The last question I want to ask you is, what would you say to someone who was desiring to work with me, thinking about working with me, or kind of hesitant about working with me? What would you say to that person?
I would say if someone wants to truly move to the next level, and they know that there are certain things that are holding them back, and they seem to like take one step, but then end up taking 2 steps backwards, and they're not really sure what's holding them back, to definitely give themselves, first of all, bless themselves by working with you, because God is truly using you to share your message, share your talents and your gifts with us, to help us, better ourselves, to be the better version of who we are or we're supposed to be. And another thing I think ladies need to understand, and we all do, and I learned this years ago, just going through some of my counseling sessions at my church many, many years ago, where one of the ladies said to me, we really can't move or even move forward through this journey on our own. We always need help. We need mentors. We need coaches. We need to figure out what we're trying to accomplish in life, and just really find someone that really has our best interest in heart, really wants to genuinely help us, help people who want to work with someone who genuinely wants to help others, versus someone who just is in it for the money. And you didn't come across to me, and I'm telling you, discernment and wisdom. God's wisdom made me realize you weren't about trying to make money. I've come across other coaches like that, and I just knew that you were very genuine, and that's very important. It's very important to really work with someone who's compassionate, who's been through it. Someone who can genuinely say, "Look, I've been there," and can share their story too, and be completely transparent, even if some of the things they share with us is a little humiliating. But we all have a story to share, and that's how we learn, and that's how we grow, and that's how we mature personally, professionally, and even in our entrepreneur goals. But I truly believe in my heart that every young lady, every woman who decides to work with you, they will see the difference. They will experience it, and they will completely, truly accomplish a lot more than they have in the past. And I truly can say that, because I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready for us to continue to work on something. I don't know what. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Vicky. It has been a pleasure to have you share about your experience. And you have a wonderful rest of your day. Okay?
Thank you. Mwah.
All right.